Welcome, everyone. This is Off the Court with OG, presented by Zenni Gaming, the podcast that grants you access to Nets Gaming Crew's general manager and head coach, OG King CURT. This show, along with a bevy of other NetsGC content such as Crew Access and No Cap with the Crew, is the absolute best way to follow the team as they take on the rest of the NBA 2K League in Season 5. We mentioned at the top of the show, this show is possible due to our friends over at Zenni Gaming. You saw the frame Streets was rocking on stage when he proclaimed himself as the best to do it. You know, you saw the specs that Steez was rocking when, he reminded the community about the defense this team brings. And of course, you saw the shades that Jaden was sporting when Autumn Johnson blessed us with the phrase, the Jaden effect. You guys can get those same glasses and more by visiting zenni.com/netsgc. Episode 29 begins now, guys. I'm not exaggerating when I say this, but CURT and the rest of the team literally at the time of this recording just landed back in Brooklyn. And before they could even get a chance to breathe, I have CURT now here on the show with us. CURT, I guess we'll start with how are you feeling? I know traveling can be tiresome, but I'm sure this is something you and the guys want to feel.
You know what? Typically, I'm seasick. I get motion sickness, not seasick, but motion sickness when I hop off the plane and then hop in an Uber and head to my apartment. But this time I felt good. I slept great on the way back. I always say planes are for sleeping, so I sleep every trip. But literally had a good time. Great flight back.
That's awesome. Let's start with, I guess we'll just start right from the beginning. The round of 16 NetsGC taking on Warriors Gaming Squad, a team, just by their personnel, just by who they have on their staff. They're a team that's always going to be competitive regardless of the game mode. But yet you and the guys take them down in a best of 5 series 3-2. Walk us through the team's mental state in those team huddles we always see on the broadcast in between games, and what your perspective was of the series in general.
Man, it was a gritty one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We know as a unit that it's all about keeping our turnovers down and making shots, and especially in 3v3, you can't afford to turn over the ball and not make shots. So that was something that we knew going in. I think Jaden did a great job in group play, getting us to Indy, along with Steve's and Streets' defense. But he did a great job taking what the defense gave him. And when we got stops, we took advantage of that. And unfortunately, we got down in the Warriors series. Obviously, when you're playing against CB13, it can be a tough challenge. That game one, he just literally was hitting everything, greening everything. He was in a rhythm that, I don't think they were going to be denied that first game. But just, in a series, it's just all about getting on the board. Especially, not when you don't want to go down in the best of 5, you don't want to go down 2-0, or in a best of 7, you don't want to go down 3-0. But if you can get a split, or at least, I think you're in great shape. You just got to get on the board. And we were able to do that. And I think it gave us some momentum. But then we had that treacherous, I want to say it was game 3, that, we thought we had it. We had made the stops. And, Jaden had that critical turnover. And it's just really with him about a learning curve and just learning how to be patient and see the defensive plays and rotations that's being made before he takes off. And unfortunately, I heard Streets right when he was coming off. He was trying to tell him to slow down, and before you know it, turnover. They go down and win the game. And he was sitting over there sulking. And I don't like that. Even as a competitor, you don't never want to let nobody see you sweat, even if you make mistakes and things of that nature. So I yelled at him and told him to get up, and we got over in the huddle, and I said, "Hey, look, man, the game over. No more excuses. no more anything. It's just about making the plays. I mean, making the right plays. Because unfortunately for us, the mistakes that we have made, we we know that that's some of our flaw areas. So it's not nothing new to us. I mean, and so when I think it like takes the life out of everybody when we see repetitive mistakes that we have made, whether that's been in practice or whether that's been in 5v5 games where we haven't been able to close out. So just getting them back on track. Then we were able to win 2 games straight, man. And it was one of the first times that I actually showed some emotion, on a stage or just in general. I mean, I'm pretty much laid back, a lot of feelings and everything going on inside. But I love to see these guys get rewarded for what I know that they can do. So when we suffer a lot of defeats, which is no disrespect to the other teams, but we have left a lot of money on the table this year, and it's been painful. So when I finally see them get a chance to celebrate and happiness and enjoying the fruits of their labor, I mean it's a feeling for me that I can't even explain.
Yeah, I see it. I saw it on the social media content that the league pushed out as soon as that final basket went in Game 5. The emotion that you kind of express, and with tongue in cheek, you also the garbage can earlier in the season saw was a victim to that as well. And I cannot wait for that eventual championship to come and just see how just watch you be proud of the team, because we all saw it when the guys were on stage post game doing their interviews. It was a treat to watch. But fast forward to the
hold on, let me say this before you get to the next.
For sure.
I want to give a shout out to my brother Isaac Curtis, him and his nephew, him and his son, my nephew Isaac Curtis Jr. They were in the crowd, and that it always feels good when my brother is able to come and support. He was there during the tip off as well, and then this time he brought his son with him. So it made me feel good to know that they were in the stands watching.
I love that. It was a family event. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but Streets also had his daughter and partner in the stands too.
Yeah, she showed up right. Right, and we're about to get into this. She showed up right during the Celtics series, Celtics crossover gaming series, and I was happy about that.
Yeah, gotta love the support. But like we had mentioned, Boston Celtics crossover or Celtics crossover gaming, excuse me. They're this juggernaut of a 3v3 team. They were after they beat Jazz Gaming in that first round, they were 21-3 in individual games in the Switch. They had only lost 2 times in group play, and here you guys are, and you're tasked with defeating them 4 times in one night. You were able to get halfway there, which was an achievement on its own, before eventually dropping the series 4-2. I guess what I want to ask is Shannon, she had mentioned to me that you guys got into a huddle afterwards. What did you guys talk about? And just in general, what did you guys take from that experience?
Yeah, I mean, basically we had talked about, you referring to after the series was over? It was more or less like, this has to be a turning point. Like, and ironically, I say a turning point, during the switch, which is the turn version in 3v3, but
Right.
It has to be a turning point where things that are being said in practice and in games, like it has to start becoming embedded in your mind and in your heart, and basically transfer through the sticks. I mean, it's mistakes that we made because, hats off to Rico and those guys. They earned that series, but we had an opportunity, as you referred when you text me after the game, is to seize the moment, and we let it slip away. But we had our chances, to pull that series out. So it was one of those talks where, like, hey, it's a wake up call, because we right there. Like, I mean, we right there in 5v5, we right there in 3v3. Obviously the move that was made to get Jaden was one well worth it. I mean, he's come right in and still, taking his lumps and things of that nature. But just telling him, like, things have to start sinking in, and we have to start wanting and demanding more out of each other. And I said that starts right when we hit the ground running on Monday for us getting ready to go into the week. But I can tell that like Jaden cares about getting better. He cares about how he performs, how the team performs, like and you can't ask no more than that. But like I told him, the results are the only thing that matters at the end of the day. So I said, he's an accountable kid just as well as everybody on the team. But I told him, I said, accountability doesn't mean anything if you don't change the mistakes that you're constantly making. And we took it to heart. And after that, unfortunately for us, we were supposed to fly out the next day. Well, I won't say unfortunately. It was unfortunate in some situations because some guys had some things in the works that they were going to do, and our flights got canceled. So we ended up flying out a day later, and it was awesome because Steve's got a chance to join the broadcast, which is, we know he's great in front of the camera, great on the mic. I mean, he heads the no cap with the crew. He's a host of that, so he does a lot of great things, content wise. So I was glad to see that happen. Streets got to spend more time with his daughter and his daughter's mother, and I was happy about that because I'm a big family guy. I lack in that area for the most part. I mean, considering I have some family that's no longer walking the land, but I just like the fact that he got a chance to spend more time with his daughter because he's away, and family is important. So I was happy about that, and just having an extra day to spend time with the guys and hang out and just really get our minds, I want to say, refreshed and get ready to go into this tough week.
Yeah, I big fan of, taking a hurdle and then pivoting that into an opportunity. And like you mentioned, Streets with his family and Steegs being able to kind of show off his skills on the mic. And mind you, if he wants to, he has a spot on that 2K League broadcast desk one day, without a doubt, name reserved for him. So that was awesome to see. I guess to close out the show, let's look forward, right? Let's look ahead to seed weeks, which this is the first time the league has used this kind of, platform or method to kind of decide which teams are destined for the playoffs and which teams are destined to kind of duke it out in the ticket. By the time this show drops, guys, we've already played Gen G, and we'll have Celtics crossover and 76ers GC to close out week 1 before finally taking on T-Wolves Gaming and Cavs Legion to finish out, I guess, group play, quote unquote, of seed weeks. Kurt, I just rattled off those teams. You've got the number 1 seed in both conferences in 76ers GC and T-Wolves Gaming. You've got Gen G, who's right there behind them, a Celtics crossover team that is continuing to grow in confidence by each passing day. And then, of course, a new look Cavs team. Brooklyn is only 2 points out of a playoff spot in 5v5. What is the team's mindset headed into this such, crucial stretch?
It's one of those things where I'm always preaching that, if you're competitive, you kind of want these challenges. I think in a different world for us, we would have taken care of business and just been playing to see where we would be at as far as seeded 1 through 5. But that didn't happen. So now going forward, it's just all about being ready to take on some of the best teams in the league and showing where we're at the end of the day. I mean, it's a quick turnaround from going from 3v3, the switch tournament, and then coming right back to 5v5 seed week. So crazy chain of events in less than a week, so to speak, for us. So I look forward to it. I think the guys look forward to it. It's a great test for us. Kind of going back to what Steve said when we were going into Game 5 against Warriors Gaming. He said, well, now we're going to see what, well, actually, it was Game 4, starting the beginning. We're going to see what we made of. With our backs against the wall, elimination game, no better test than to see where we're at. And it's no different this week. As you mentioned, we got Gen G and Celtics crossover game, and then we have the 76ers GC, and then we have some tough teams coming up the following week. But I really just got to go in with the same mindset to get our reps, keep our turnovers low, score the ball, and of course, we hang our hat on defense. So that's something that's going to be evident. Hopefully we can slow down, the emergence of Gallo, who's been playing really well as a rookie for Gen G. And then with the 76ers GC, it is what it is over there. I mean, you got Dre and you got 630. That's arguably one of the better backcourts, if not the best backcourt in most people's eyes in the 2K league. And just trying to slow them down and pretty much, like I said, just play our game. Hang our hats on defense, low turnover, score the ball. And I think I always say that'll always keep us in the game. The decisions that we make with the ball that determine whether or not we win the game. I mean, because we literally, I've said this over and over, 29 points is the difference in the losses that we have in 5v5. So, that has to be probably a league record if anybody's keeping track. But basically, we haven't had a loss over 8 points. And so that'll tell you that we've been in every game going down to the last 2 minutes. So just time to lock in and get ready to play some of the best of the best. And let's see where we at. I always tell everybody the season is not lost until you're out of the ticket. And me, I've never seen the ticket, but I'm definitely not trying to make this the first year.
Certainly not a lack of excitement over with NetsGC here in season 5. And should everything fall into place, I don't think anyone can say the guys didn't earn it, right? Going through a gauntlet before the playoffs. And at the end of the day, in a league where you get to play against the best in the world, you just kind of mentioned it already. You just want a chance. And we certainly have a chance as the current 6th seed in both 5v5 and 3v3. So it's there for the taking. Kurt, any final thoughts before we close out the show?
You know what? I mean, that's kind of pretty impressive. I mean, to be, in the hunt on both sides of the track. I mean, that's just hats off to my guys for constantly competing no matter what the situation or circumstance is. I'll tell you this, it's optimism over here. Like, it's not, of course we have a bitter taste in our mouth knowing that we let some opportunities slip away. But it wasn't out of, us wanting to compete and lack of compete. I mean, it's just been a lot of, self-imploding mistakes and things of that nature. But we optimistic. We feel like we have the personnel that's capable of pulling it out. I don't know. Sometimes you got to like that back against the wall type of feeling and mentality. It makes the victory that much sweeter. I mean, and I think we kind of joke internally and say, it wouldn't be NetsGC basketball if we didn't make it hard for ourselves. So I'll leave you on that note.
Yeah, like I said, certainly not a lack of excitement. There's a story arc that NetsGC has to follow, right? There's a script that we have to follow to keep you guys hooked and engaged. But that does it here for Kurt and I. Brooklyn, as we had mentioned, is about to embark on the most important stretch of the season for both 5v5 and 3v3. With playoffs entirely being possible for both game modes. Make sure you follow Nets Gaming Crew on all social platforms or the social media platform of your choice to keep up to date on everything happening. It's going to be a whirlwind over the next couple weeks. Thank you for watching. On behalf of Kurt and on behalf of everyone over at NetsGC, I'm Kristian Cuaresma, and this was Off the Court with OG.